We humans came into this world around 300,000 years ago, and since then, we've changed it in ways no other species ever has. Since modern humans appeared, we've caused the extinction of over 900 species, and that's only the ones we know about. Some were hunted for sport, others vanished as their forests were cut down or their oceans poisoned with pollution. But these weren't just names on a list. They were real. They breathed, moved, lived, and now they're gone. From the clumsy dodo to the powerful western black rhino, we've erased creatures from existence, often without even realizing what we were doing. In this video, we'll uncover some of the most iconic species that disappeared, not because of natural disasters or evolution, but because of us. I've divided this video into sections based on the causes of extinction, each one showing how human actions became the end of a species. Let's begin with one of the most devastating causes of all, hunting. They called it the penguin of the north, a flightless seabird with stubby wings, clumsy on land, but graceful in water. The great auk once thrived in the icy waters of the North Atlantic, from Canada to northern Europe, but its inability to fly made it an easy target. Sailors and hunters slaughtered them for their meat, feathers, and oil. Their eggs were stolen and sold. Their colonies were wiped out. And do you know what they did to the last known great auks? You might think someone tried to protect them, save the final pair from extinction, but no. One was killed for a goddamn museum, stuffed and put on display. The other was beaten to death simply because it was rare. That was its only crime. Understand this, they didn't go extinct because people needed food. It wasn't about survival. They were hunted for profit, for curiosity, for collections. That's what makes it worse. They didn't vanish slowly. They were systematically hunted into extinction. A bird once numbering in the millions, gone forever because it was too easy to catch. But the great auk wasn't alone. Other species faced a similar fate. The Steller's sea cow, a gentle giant over 9 meters or 30 feet long, hunted to extinction just 27 years after its discovery. The Caribbean monk seal, killed for its blubber until none remained. The giant moa of New Zealand, hunted by early humans until the last towering bird fell. Overhunting and overfishing have wiped out species from land, sea, and air. Not for survival, often just for convenience, trade, or cruelty. And it didn't stop at a few species. Over 300 animal species are believed to have gone extinct solely due to overhunting and overfishing. Let that number sink in. Hundreds of species gone, just because we couldn't stop killing. It had armored skin, a powerful frame, and a legacy stretching back millions of years. But none of that could protect the western black rhino from bullets. This subspecies of black rhino once roamed across Central and Western Africa until greed found it. Its horn, made of nothing more than compressed keratin, the same stuff as our nails, was worth more than gold on the black market. They said it cured diseases, boosted strength, brought luck. Lies. But those lies cost the rhino its future. Poachers didn't care if it was endangered. They didn't care if only a few were left. They just wanted the horn. Sometimes they didn't even wait to kill. Rhinos were found half alive, their faces hacked off, left to bleed in the dirt. The last confirmed sighting of a western black rhino was in 2006. 5 years later, it was declared officially extinct, and it wasn't the only one. The Javan tiger, once found across Indonesia, wiped out by poaching and loss of prey. The Pinta Island tortoise, hunted by sailors and later poached for exotic pet trades. Its last known member, Lonesome George, died in 2012. The Chinese river dolphin, caught in fishing gear and poached despite conservation pleas, declared functionally extinct in the early 2000s. Poaching isn't just about survival. It's organized, ruthless, and driven by money. And the cost? At least 150 species have vanished from the planet because of poaching and illegal wildlife trade, all because someone, somewhere, decided an animal was worth more dead than alive. It looked like a dog, had the stripes of a tiger, and carried its young in a pouch like a kangaroo. The Tasmanian tiger, or thylacine, was one of nature's most unique creations, an apex predator in Australia's wild lands. But that wild land didn't stay wild for long. When European settlers arrived in Tasmania, they brought livestock and fear. The thylacine was blamed for killing sheep, even though most of the claims were never proven. What followed was a government bounty. But what truly sealed its fate wasn't just the bullets. It was the bulldozers. Forests were cleared, grasslands turned to farms. Its habitat was shattered, piece by piece, until there was nowhere left to hide, nowhere to hunt, nowhere to survive. The last known Tasmanian tiger died alone in a zoo in 1936, locked behind bars far from the wilderness it once ruled. But it wasn't the only one to fall as forests disappeared and grasslands turned to concrete. The Spix's macaw, native to Brazil, lost nearly all its natural habitat to deforestation. The last wild bird was seen in 2000, the golden toad of Costa Rica's cloud forests. Its habitat changed so fast it couldn't keep up, vanishing forever in the late 1980s. We often talk about destruction extinction as a side effect of progress. But for these species, progress meant extinction. Over 200 species have disappeared in the last century alone, driven mostly by the destruction of their homes. And the scariest part? Many more are vanishing right now. Not because they can't survive nature, but because nature can't survive us. You've heard the name. The dodo has become the poster child for extinction. But do you know what really happened to it? The dodo lived on the island of Mauritius, isolated and untouched by predators. It had no reason to fear anything. It couldn't fly, didn't run fast, and laid its eggs right on the ground. For thousands of years, that was fine, until humans showed up. But it wasn't just humans that doomed the dodo. It was what we brought with us. Rats, pigs, and monkeys. Animals that never existed on the island before. These invasive species raided dodo nests, ate their eggs, and multiplied uncontrollably. The dodo, with no natural defenses, never stood a chance. Understand this. The dodo didn't go extinct because people hunted it for food. That's a myth. It went extinct because the ecosystem it evolved in was invaded by species it couldn't fight off. And the dodo wasn't alone. The gom kingfisher, driven extinct in the wild after the brown tree snake was introduced to the island. The Laysan rail, wiped out after invasive rabbits destroyed its habitat in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. The Stevens Island wren, one of the only flightless songbirds, wiped out almost entirely by cats introduced by lighthouse keepers. Invasive species have contributed to the extinction of over 300 animal species worldwide. Sometimes the greatest danger to a species isn't a predator but an outsider it never evolved to face. The woolly mammoth, a towering, shaggy giant that once roamed the frozen tundras of the north. For thousands of years, it was a symbol of survival in the harshest conditions Earth could offer. But even the mighty fall. As the last ice age ended around 10,000 years ago, the climate began to warm rapidly. The mammoth's icy home started to vanish, tundra turned into forest, and the grasses it fed on disappeared. Warmer temperatures also meant rising sea levels, isolating populations on shrinking islands. But it wasn't just the changing climate that brought them down. Humans were spreading too, and we were hunting them. So while the Earth warmed, the mammoth faced a two-front war, a vanishing habitat and a rising predator. Even the last stronghold, Wrangel Island, couldn't save them. A small population of woolly mammoths survived there until just 4,000 years ago, long after the pyramids were built, before vanishing for good. Other species lost to climate change. The Steller's sea cow, already under pressure from hunting, couldn't adapt to rapidly shifting waters. The shrub ox, a cold-adapted cousin of the muskox, vanished as warm climates spread across North America. The European hippopotamus, unable to survive the fluctuating ecosystems at the end of the Ice Age. Today, because of climate change, at least 50 species have already vanished, and threatens thousands more. But it's not just a modern issue. The story of the mammoth shows us what happens when species can't keep up with a warming world. The Baiji dolphin, also known as the Yangtze River dolphin, once glided through the waters of China's Yangtze River, a place that once teemed with life. But today, the Baiji is gone, another victim of our pollution. In the early 20th century, there were hundreds of these dolphins in the river. By the 1980s, the Baiji's numbers began to dwindle. What happened? The Yangtze River became a dumping ground for industrial waste, pesticides, and heavy metals. The river, once a thriving ecosystem, turned toxic. Pollution didn't just poison the Baiji's food source, it also made it harder for the dolphins to navigate. Their sonar, which they relied on to hunt and communicate, was disrupted by the murky, chemical-laden waters. As if that wasn't enough, the Baiji also had to contend with the encroaching human population, with boats and fishing nets getting in the way. By the time conservation efforts ramped up, it was too late. The last confirmed sighting of the Baiji dolphin was in 2002, and the species was declared functionally extinct soon after. The pollution that wiped out this unique dolphin species was so severe it left no room for them to survive. Other species devastated. The Yangtze giant softshell turtle, unable to survive the water pollution and habitat destruction in the Yangtze River, now exists only in captivity. The Pacific leatherback turtle, whose populations have been decimated by plastic waste and chemical toxins in the oceans. The Chilean dolphin, threatened by pollution in its coastal waters, with numbers dwindling as industrial activity disrupts their environment. Pollution is a silent killer, slowly killing off species by poisoning their homes, food sources, and bodies. It may not be as dramatic as overhunting, but it's a quiet force wiping out species faster than we realize. The Panamanian golden frog was once one of the most iconic species of Central America, its bright yellow skin a symbol of the region's unique biodiversity. This frog wasn't just a creature, it was a part of Panama's cultural identity, considered a symbol of good luck. But in the late 20th century, something sinister began to spread across the amphibian world, a deadly fungal disease called chytridiomycosis. It arrived on the scene like a silent assassin, sweeping through entire populations of frogs and toads. The Panamanian golden frog was one of the hardest hit species. As the disease spread, it decimated frog populations, including the golden frog. The fungus attacked their skin, suffocating them in ways that couldn't be stopped. The once thriving populations of these frogs vanished from their natural habitats, and soon the Panamanian golden frog was considered functionally extinct in the wild. Now, here's the thing. Humans didn't create this disease, but we played a huge role in how fast it spread through global travel, wildlife trade, and even climate change weakening fragile ecosystems. Other victims of disease. The axolotl, a Mexican salamander, has suffered massive population crashes due to waterborne diseases made worse by pollution. Several species of harlequin frogs across South America were wiped out as chytrid fungus spread through mountain streams. The northern corroboree frog of Australia, once common, now teeters on the edge because of the same infection. Its immune system no match for what we unknowingly helped unleash. This is a silent pandemic. Over 100 species have been lost to disease, and even though we didn't mean to cause it, our fingerprints are still all over the damage. The Barbary lion once roamed the mountains and forests of North Africa. With its massive frame and thick, dark mane, it was a symbol of strength, so majestic that Roman emperors paraded them in colosseums, and Moroccan royalty kept them as status symbols. But as human populations grew, so did the conflict. Farmers began expanding into lion territory. Livestock became easy prey, and in return, lions were hunted down. Not for survival, not for sport, but for daring to exist near us. They were poisoned, shot, and trapped, all in the name of protecting human settlements. By the early 20th century, the Barbary lion was nearly gone. The last known wild individual was shot in the Atlas Mountains of Morocco in 1942. And just like that, the king of North Africa was silenced, not by nature, but by our intolerance of its presence. Other examples of human-wildlife conflict turning deadly. The Caspian tiger, once found across Central Asia, was eradicated due to agricultural expansion and livestock defense killings. The Javan tiger suffered the same fate in Indonesia. Its forest home turned into farmland. The California grizzly bear, once a proud icon of the West, was hunted to extinction as settlers moved in. As human settlements expanded, more than 70 species were wiped out simply for living too close to us, caught in a battle they never chose. These animals didn't vanish on their own. They were erased because they stood in our way. What you've seen in this video is only a handful of the species we've erased. There are hundreds more, gone, forever, and if we don't change, thousands more will follow. Species like the vaquita, with fewer than 10 left. The northern bald ibis, whose numbers can fit in a single school bus. The Amur leopard, so rare, it's almost a ghost in its own habitat. They are all slipping through our fingers, not because the world is cruel, but because we are careless. All of this is because we refuse to change. We build, we burn, we take, and never stop to ask, what are we leaving behind? So what can you do? Start by caring. Talk about it. Share it. If people don't know, they can't care. And if they don't care, nothing will ever change. Help the animals around you, the strays on your street, the birds that nest near your window. Even if you can't help, don't hurt them. That alone is a start. And maybe there's a flicker of hope. A company named Colossal Laboratories and Biosciences says they've brought back 2 dire wolves. If that's real, it's incredible, a miracle. But we shouldn't have to rely on miracles to fix what we keep breaking. Because even if we bring a species back, it won't be the same. It won't be wild, it won't be free. It'll just be a reminder of what we lost. We are writing the story of this planet, and right now it's a story of silence, of empty forests, of oceans without songs, of eyes that once looked back at us and never will again. Let's not wait for the last one to fall. Let's change before there's nothing left to save. You're watching Beast Planet. See you in the next one.